Welcome back to another edition of the Jamie J Podcast. This is your host, Jamie J. And today I want to talk about an interesting, contentious subject. That subject is perfection. Do we need it? Do we not need it? Let's dig in and find out. All right, up comes the topic of perfection. Now, what's all this talk about perfection? Now, I work with a lot of clients who are getting themselves up onto that social media. They're getting themselves onto that platform, wanting to get recognized. And the first thing they think they want to do is go ahead, put on that perfectly pressed white lab suit, get up against that wonderful wall with all the diplomas behind them, and then go ahead and start speaking in this absolutely professional tone. You know what? That doesn't work, and we don't need that. Why? Because people want to see the real world. People want to see the real you. Folks, if you're out there and you're getting out there and you're just starting on your journey to getting some of this information out there via video, via speaking, podcast, whatever it is, just go for it. You know, I'll use my own example here. Starting this podcast. If I was waiting for everything to be just perfect, you know, that I went and took a whole bunch of speaking courses and I went to Toastmasters and I did all these things. If I was waiting for that, guess what? We wouldn't even be here right now. I wouldn't have yet started because I was always looking for something else outside of myself to be able to justify, say, hey, I'm at that level of perfection. Perfection is bullshit. What do we need? We need more reality in life. So a lot of people say, well, Jamie, hey, perfection's bullshit. You're telling me I need this, I need that. So what's the standard? How do we have to hit this standard? How do I know when I've got something that's worthy? Well, number one, I want to suggest that anything you do, even if it's kind of silly or whatnot, it's going to be worthy at some time. As many of you know, I follow Gary Vee. I follow him a lot. And recently, over the last month or two, he's put out some content that was from way back in the day, way back when he started. And a lot of that content, hey, it's definitely not what it is now. He decided to go for it, though. He decided to step up and make that his standard because he had to start from somewhere. I tell my clients, what's the standard we're looking for? We are looking to hit 86%. Now, what's all this talk about 86%? Where'd you get the idea from? This is actually a personal story. So I grew up in British Columbia, Canada, and in the school system in BC, there was marks, obviously, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, hopefully not too many Fs, hopefully not too many Ds or anything like that. But we had these marks. And what I recognized, you know, as I was working away, I wasn't always the best in school. Hell, there was some marks where I sucked. I failed French 8. I didn't like French. French wasn't my thing. Nothing against any Francophones out there. Just French wasn't my thing. I didn't have that passion to lose that language. So yeah, that's one of those places where I got an F. I digress. Back to the story. With the marks, I always strove. I wanted to have some of the best marks I could. Shop was my thing back in automotive class and all that. I loved it. I had an absolute passion. I was the dude, even though it was back in the 90s, well, early 90s, late 80s, that, you know, here I was that guy that had the, you know, quintessential white t-shirt on, blue jeans, boots and all that. And I was the guy that was working away in the shop. Well, you know, for those of you that know me right now, and for those of you that are watching the YouTube, you can see I got the cap on. Hey, there's not too much hair under there. So I didn't have the slick back hair or anything like that. But nonetheless, here I was. I had a passion for shop, right? I absolutely dug it. That one came easy to me. A's were never a problem. Getting some of A's and all that and other sort of classes there, I had to work hard. What I recognized, though, is I could hit a minimum standard to get that A. Now, here's the thing. I use the term minimum standard, but really it's about getting the top mark that I could. A's started at 86%. Here's what's great. It didn't matter if I was getting 86, 89, 92, 98, 99.99999%. I was still getting the same mark. I was getting the top mark. I was getting the A. What I had to put in was that 86%. It actually freed a lot off of me because I'm not thinking, okay, I've got to hit this perfect mark every single time. No, I can hit something at 86, 87, whatever it is, and I can still get the absolute best mark. What I want to ask everyone out there listening today is this. What's your 86%? Right? What is it in your life? What's that minimum that you can hit to achieve the top level? Think about that. Really go deep into that. If I get out here and if I stumble on a few words, if I make a few mistakes, don't say the right thing, it's okay. People are still listening. People are still waiting for this content because what we share is valuable. That's just like that for you. I want you to be in that place where you are comfortable knowing that when you hit that 86% and you're real, people are going to be on board. People are going to want that information. Stop procrastinating. Stop setting an unrealistic example, right? If you're looking for that target of perfect, right, I would say that's probably one of the lowest targets of all, because in some people's mind, perfection, it's unattainable, right? What I think is perfect, you might think is an absolute pile of shit, and that's okay. What I'm saying here is this, is that perfection is in the eye of the beholder, and we don't have to get to perfect every time. What we crank out, what you put out, you might think, oh gosh, I'm scared, I'm embarrassed to show this out. Someone might think that it's the most impactful, most important piece of information they've ever received. Now, what's better? You waiting for something that you perceive as perfect, as magical, as the best thing ever? Or is it more impactful, more important to get your message out there, even at 70%, so that it can go on and change someone's life? I really want you to think about that. Look, we all have knowledge within us, and I have the belief that it is our duty to share our skills, to share our superpower, if you will, with everyone that's out there. Take this as your opportunity. Take this as your opportunity to step up. Make that first video. Don't worry if you stumble on words. It's going to happen. Don't stress about that at all. Hey, we've got editing and all that sort of stuff. One of the things that I'm now doing with the Jamie J podcast is I'm actually recording it and I'm throwing it up on YouTube unedited, right? You can all get to this point. You can get to this place where you're cranking this out. What does it take? It takes taking the first step. Any of you that have looked me up, that have taken the look on my profiles on my YouTube, you'll see some early stuff on there. Here I was trying to be that dude, right? I'm in the fancy suit jacket. I got the button-up shirt. I'm trying to be all fancy and all this. Look, we don't need to be fancy. What we need and what people need is for us to be real and give our full truth. Be who we are, because that message right there, when we're truthful, when we're honest, and we're not bullshitting someone, that message is the message that's going to stick. Thank you so much for your time today. This has been an absolute blast. I'm looking forward to catching up with you real soon on the next edition of the Jamie J podcast. We'll catch you then.